Attika 7 is a melodic heavy metal band. I'd say we're a traditional heavy metal. You know, some of our big influences are old school bands like Black Sabbath and Ozzy Osbourne, Godsmack or early Metallica. Part of our goal is we're not young kids. We're not 20 years old, although we look so good. We wanted to do something timeless, and we kind of feel like we know who our audience is. We're bikers. We like, we ride motorcycles, and we think that there's a huge audience for music for people who are, who have outlaw in their blood, people who just want to ride by giving the middle finger.
Attika is a name that has quite a few meanings. There's, of course, the town in New York where they have the prison, Attika, that was famous from the riots they had back in the 70s. I guess they had quite a few people died in the riots over there. These songs originated, the early versions of the songs originated when I was in prison, and I wrote quite a bit of down-tuned songs, and real heavy, melodic, and it was basically a dark theme to most of the songs about either prison or something on that dark plane. You know what I mean? So I thought of a lot of names, and the name that just kind of stuck was Attika.
But to me, like when I think about Attika, Rusty going to prison, anybody being down, anybody being through the hardest time of their life, Attika is about, fighting the injustices that are out there, especially the ones imposed by the government, by the system, by the American injustice system, if you wish. When Rusty and I got together, we were actually introduced by Jesse James, by the bike builder, who was a mutual friend of ours, and our bands had played together, Attika and Biohazard, and I thought they were awesome. Rusty called me up and said, hey, our singer's in jail, would you fill in for a show or two? And I said, well, send me the music. I said, you're a friend, of course I'll do it. And I get the music, and I was like, wow, I love this. I could really sink my teeth into this and figure out how to make it my own. And to make it, we just signed a record contract with Rocket Science Music, and we just got a contract from Membrane Music in Europe, and we just got a contract from Warner Brothers in Australia. And we've got big managers talking to the band and agents, and this is really exciting to start something fresh,
Yeah, it's a great project, great music. It's evolved beyond what it was before, and it was good before, now it's even better.
I feel that Attika 7 has a hunger, like a drive, like a hunger, like we want this so bad. And there's a passion behind our music, and we're really fortunate that we made an album, and when we signed the record contract, that we were able to call it a demo and go back and re-record the album from scratch. So I feel lucky that we're having a chance, and because it sounds so much better. It sounds so crazy.
Yeah, Mud Rock's a great producer, and he's really into the project. He did the first 2 Godsmack albums that were platinum. He's done the first 2 Avenged Sevenfold albums, and he's got discography going back for days.
Like we just signed a record contract. We don't know if anyone's going to buy our album. People will probably just download it for free, but come check out the show, because we put our hearts and souls into it. So look out for Attika 7. We're coming to your neighborhood. So lock up your daughters and wives.
Unless they look good, then you can leave them out.